Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tuassir wa tammim bil khair. In this lesson today, inshallah, we will complete our exercises. And also, I think we will be able to have a brief introduction to the next lesson, which is very important. All of these lessons are really very important. So, but that one needs a little bit more, things to know about that. So, inshallah, we will also continue if we have enough time. So, we continue from this exercise here. It says, as you remember that we have to extract from the lesson. So, it was istakhrij. And then that's why we have this as maf'ul bihi. So, it's basically istakhrij ثلاثة أمثلة لاسم الفاعل. So as we know that it will be لاسم الفاعل المشتق من الفعل الثلاثي المجرد. All right, so we have to give or extract 3 examples of اسم الفاعل and 3 examples of the derived اسم الفاعل من الفعل الثلاثي المجرد, from the verb that have only 3 root letters. As we have seen in this lesson that we have the example of al-mushtari. So al-mushtari is also ismul fa'il. It's a derived noun, but it's from mazid fi. It's not from al-thalathi al-mujarrad. But we have to give the examples from al-thalathi al-mujarrad. So do you remember the examples? I remember sahib. It was, if you remember, sahib al-mahal. And وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ baqin, yes, and malikun. The name of the student was Malik, as we can see here. So malikun is from malaka yamliku, fahuwa malikun. Then we have baqin, baqiya yabqa, fahuwa baqin. And sahibun, if you remember, sahabatkum as-salama, sahiba yashabu, fahuwa sahibun. So all of them, they have 3 root letters. So that's why we call them al-thalathi al-mujarrad. The verbs that have 3 root letters. Malaka, malaka, baqaya, baqiya, sahaba, sahiba. Then we have to give mithalan, only one example. So mithalan, an example. Lin-nasbi, for nasb. So this is nasb without sad, seen. That means the association. Like when you show the association of a person, may it be the nationality or may it be the language, for example, we say America and then we say Amerikiyun. And similarly, we say Pakistan and Pakistaniyun. And we have Arab, so we say Arabiyun. So do you remember the example of Nasb?
The Islamic map.
Excellent. So yes, Islami. Yes, that's right. So that way he talked about the map. An Islamic world's map. So al-Islami, basically, as you can see here, that most of the times when we see that there is a ya with tashdid, so the chances are that it will be for nasb to show the association. Now we have the oral exercises or the verbal exercises. Yujra. So it's basically, is it active or passive? Ma'lum or majhul?
It's majhul, sir.
It's majhul. Okay, why is it majhul? It starts
Starting
with
Dhamma.
Excellent. And then the second last letter has fatha. So it's confirmed that this is passive, majhul. Yujra at-tamrid. So jara yajri means to run. And yujra means something or someone who is run or being run. So yujra at-tamrinani ash-shafawiyani. So we have 2 oral exercises, tamrinani exercises and shafawiyani, oral, al-atiyani, following. So we have 2 following exercises that are to be done orally. That means we have to complete them by speaking. So as we can see here, yaqulu says, who says, kullu talibin, every student. لزميله, to his colleague. So every student says to his classmate or his colleague, أعطني قلمك, give me your pen. And أعطني كتابك, give me your book. And أعطني دفترك, give me your notebook. Okay, so why I am putting here ka? Why not ki? Because I am talking to masculine, singular masculine, okay? So if it's for the feminine, then it will be a'tini, a'tini. So 2 dots will be added. You know that ya will be added to this. So it will be a'tini, and then it will be qalamaki, kitabaki, and daftaraki. So for the masculine, it will be a'tani or a'tini, as we can see here. But when we are talking to a singular feminine, then extra ya will be added. So it will be a'tini, qalamaki, kitabaki, and daftaraki. So it's a verbal exercise, oral exercise. And now if you want to do speaking practice by yourselves, of course you can do it. You can practice by yourselves with your friend. And inshallah, it will help us to improve our spoken Arabic as well. Then we have yaqulu, he says, who says? Yaqulu, kullu talibin, every student says, li zamilihi, to his classmate. As we know that la is harf jar, li, and zamilihi is jar majroor, to his mudaf alayhi, sorry. So he says to his classmate, mushiran, by pointing. Ashara yushiru isharatan fahuwa mushirun. So one who points towards something is called mushir, mushirun. So mushiran, by pointing, and here it is used like hal. So يقول كل طالب لزميله مشيرا, by pointing. So whenever you can translate it by using ing, then there is a possibility that it will be translated as hal, and we know that hal is always mansub. إلى زميل آخر, to the other classmate. Okay, here we have zamilin, and here we have akhara. Why is that? We have discussed many times, right?
Mamnoon min as-sarf.
Mamnoon min as-sarf, yes. So it's basically akharu, akhara, akhara. So this is also majroor because this is mawsoof and this is sifa, but we know that it will be majroor bi fatha wa laysa bi kasra. So yaqulu, so we will say that kasra muqaddara, hidden kasra over there. So we have kasra over there, but it is hidden. So we will say kasra muqaddara. So يقول كل طالب لزميله, every student says to his classmate, mushiran, by pointing, إلى زميل آخر, to the other colleague or to the other classmate, أعطيه كتابك, give him your book. أعطيه. So now it refers, he is saying, give him. أعطي, you give, and to him, it will be he. أعطيه كتابك, give him your book, or daftaraka, or mibrataka, so your notebook or your sharpener. And if you are talking, if there is a feminine, she will say a'tihi or a'tiha. It depends who you are talking to. But if the person who is speaking is feminine, then she will say a'ti, and then referring to one person, masculine or feminine, it depends. So if she says give it to that masculine, she will say a'tihi. And if she says give to that feminine, she will say a'tiha, a'tiha, give her. And similarly, kitabaka, it could be kitabaka and it could be kitabaki, your book. So if you're talking to feminine, you will say a'tiha kitabaki, a'tiha kitabaki, give her your book. And then we can say daftaraki and also mibrataki. So these are oral exercises for practice, so that we get used to speaking as well. Now we move on to the next exercise, which is ta'allam. Ta'allam. So this is verb form number. How many letters does it have? 5. I give you the rule. 5. When it has 5 root letters, that means it is verb form number 5.
Tadabbara.
Tadabbara yatadabbaru. Excellent. Ta'allama. Okay. So we have ta, ain, and lam happens to be there twice, 4, and mim 5. So whenever you see a verb which has 5 root letters,
4 is aslama.
yes, 4 is aslama and 5 is ta'allama. So that means it is fi'l. This is a 5th verb form of derived form of the verb, and this is fi'l al-amr. So ta'allam, mim is sakin, and when we connect it, we will connect it with kasra. So it will be ta'allamil af'al al-atiyata. Learn the following verbs. Learn the following verbs. Ta'allam means learning. Ta'allam means teach. Allama yu'allimu ta'liman. So that means teach. If you remember the hadith, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ. So you can remember that ta'allam comes first, learning comes first. The best among you are those who learn and teach Quran. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ. So there is extra ta, that means you have to put some extra effort. So that's why you can remember it like that. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ, and عَلَّمَ يُعَلِّمُ تَعْلِيمًا means to teach. So allam comes later. So even from the hadith, the learner has been given a lot of importance, that the best among you are those who learn and teach Quran. So the allam is learning and allam is teaching. Nada, this is basically nada yunadi. So fi'l al-amr will be nadi. Nada yunadi, and fi'l al-amr will be nadi. And it's very simple. For example, if we have here tunadi, we know that the ya will be dropped, and alamat al-mudari will be also dropped, and whatever is left after that will be nadi. Nada yunadi, it's basically nada yunadi munadiyatan, to call someone. So if you look at the verse of the Quran, Rabbana innana sami'na munadiyan yunadi lil iman. So nada yunadi fahuwa munadin, because it has ya on the end, so that means this is manqus. So it will be basically munadin. And when we talk about the mansub, it will be munadiyan, and majroor will be also munadin. So here it is used as munadiyan, as mansub. Rabbana innana sami'na munadiyan yunadi. So we also have both. We have the verb nada yunadi, and also we have ismul fa'il, the caller, as we can see here. So our Lord, we have heard the caller to faith, or we have heard the caller calling to faith. Yunadi, calling, lil iman, to faith. So this is also verb form number 3, which is on the pattern of jahada yujahidu mujahadatan. And now we are getting just a glimpse of these verbs. We are getting just like idea that these verbs, how they function. And inshallah, I guess starting from lesson number 16 up to lesson number 27 or 28, we will deal with all the derived forms of the verb. Thalathi mazid fi. So we will see inshallah each and every of these verbs in detail. Did you get the idea about this? Is this clear now? Nada yunadi, and fi'l al-amr will be nadi, and ismul fa'il will be munadin. Ismul fa'il will be munadin. Nada yunadi fahuwa munadin. And when it is used as mansub, it will be munadiyan, and majroor will also be munadin. And this one is easier. Dafa'a yadfa'u, what does it mean?
To pay.
To pay.
Idfa.
Okay, what will be fi'l al-amr? Idfa. Excellent.
Idfa.
Idfa billati hiya ahsan in the Quran. So dafa'a yadfa'u, and then we have idfa, to pay. Then we have nafida, yanfadu, to run out. Taqulu, you say. Nafidat nusakhu hadha al-kitabi fil maktabati. So nafidat, it has finished. What has finished? So nafidat is fail. Yeah. So nusakhu is in the place of file. Doer, yeah, in the place of the file. And this is fail plus file. And it is also mudaf as well, because it is light. It doesn't have tanween, it doesn't have al. So this is mudaf. That's why hadha al-kitabi is mudaf ilayh. That's why kitabi is majroor. So now we can see that hadha, we know that hadha is mabni. So we cannot see the ending, but we can see the ending of kitabi. So that's why it is majroor. nafidat, like it has run out. Nusakhu, copies, the plural of nuskhatun, hadha al-kitabi, of this book, fil maktabati, in the library. So the copies of this book have run out in the library. Yani they are not available anymore. Then we have sallama yusallimu. Sallama yusallimu tasliman. And yeah, tasliman. And we know that when it comes with the preposition of li or la, it means to hand over something. So as we can see here, sallama ashayya lahu, he handed over something to him. Ay, meaning a'tahu, he gave him, iyahu, it. He gave it to him. Okay, now why do we have here iya? Because here we have who and here we have who. So we cannot use who twice together. It's not possible to use it. Yeah, it's not possible to use it. We cannot say a'tahu, who. No, it's not possible in Arabic language. So that's why we have another dhamir, or we have another pronoun, which is called dhamir al-mansub, which is iya. So iya is also a pronoun or dhamir, which is always used as maf'ul bihi. It is used in the place of maf'ul bihi. And with iya,
like in Surah Fatiha, we have Ustad, Iyyaka na'budu.
Excellent. So with iya, yes, with iya, we can use all the attached pronouns. For example, we say iyahu, iyahuma, iyahum, iyaka, iyaha, iyahuma, iyahunna, iyaka, iyakuma, iyakum, iyaki, iyakuma, iyakunna, iyaya, wa iyana. In Surah Al-Fatiha, as it has been used for emphasis. Normally it is in the place of object. So it should be na'buduka wa nasta'inuka. Na'buduka wa nasta'inuka. But when you say iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, so this is called for hasr, and for further emphasis. Where it means to say that only you we worship and only you we ask for help. All right, so that's like taqdeem of iya. So when you bring it first, that means we bring it for the purpose of emphasis. And we have discussed in the, I think when we analyzed Surah Al-Fatiha, we discussed about that. However, this is always used as object dhamir. Is it always used in the place of the object? So we know that the kalima a'ta requires maf'ulain. So maf'ul al-awwal is who, and maf'ul al-thani is also who. So that's why we have to bring in iyahu. That means a'tahu iyahu, he gave it to him. Now let's look at the example here. A'ta Zaydun, Zayd gave Hamidan, Hamid kitaban, a book. So as we can say that this is al-maf'ul al-awwal and this is al-maf'ul al-thani. So Zayd gave Hamid a book. As we can see here, Zayd gave Hamid a book. And if you want to say he gave it to him, now we are using pronouns. He gave it to him. So we will say a'tahu iyahu. A'tahu, he gave him what? So in Arabic, it's a little bit different from English. So in Arabic, it will be translated as a'tahu, he gave him, iyahu, it. Whereas in English, it will be he gave it to him. And similarly, when you say give it to me, a'tini iyahu, a'tini iyahu. So in other words, we can say that in order to translate something like it, we will use iya. Give it to me, give it to him. So whenever you see that there are two pronouns and they are coming together and it's not possible to use them together, then we have to bring in this dhamir and we will say a'tini iyahu, give it to me. So that's why here we have used it. Taqulu, you say, sallamtu ad-daftara, I gave or I handed over the notebook, lil mudarrisi, to the teacher. So lil mudarrisi, as we know that it comes with the preposition of li. So I handed over the notebook to the teacher. Sallama, and the present tense will be yusallimu. Amma sallama alayhi, as for sallama with the preposition of ala, it means fama'nahu, then it means qala lahu assalamu alayka. That means he said to him, peace be upon you. So when we use with the preposition of ala, it means to greet someone with the Islamic greetings. And when we use it with the preposition of li, that means to hand over something to somebody. وَقَدْ عَرَفْتَ هَذَا, and you have indeed known this, you have already known this, مِنْ قَبْلُ, already, or you have already known about this. Yani, you already know this, that when we say Assalamu alaikum, that means peace be upon you. And when we say Sallama ila or Sallama li, sorry, then it means to hand over to something. But here the Shaykh is saying, وَقَدْ عَرَفْتَ هَذَا مِنْ قَبْلُ, yani you already know about this. When you say Assalamu alaikum, and of course we know about this. We use this every day, and also we have learned about it in book 1. So now we know that when we use ala, that means to greet, and when we use it with the preposition of li, that means to hand over. That's why the prepositions, learning prepositions is very, very important, because when we change the preposition, the meaning also changes. Like we have in English, get in and get out. So when we say get in means different, something different, and when we say get out, then it has a different meaning as well. Salima yaslamu. Salima means to be safe. Salima yaslamu, he was safe. Taqulu, you say, inqalabat sayyaratuhu, his car capsized, or his car turned over. Walakinnahu, but he, Salima, he was safe, but he was safe. His car overturned, or his car capsized, but he was safe. Okay, now I think we have discussed about this earlier as well, that every verb in the Arabic language that has the root letters of sin, lam, mim, it means peace. Every word that comes with these root letters. For example, we have Salima, he was safe. We have Assalam, we have Salamatun, we have Salimun, then we have Taslimun. There are many verbs. We have Sullamun, like we use for the stairs, Sullamun. So every word that has these root letters, that's why we have Assalam, and our deen is also Assalamu as well. So all, or Salamun, so every verb that has these 3 root letters, and that means it talks about safety. Similarly, we have Muslimun, Aslama, Yuslimu, Islaman. Muslim also means the bringer of peace, someone who brings peace to everyone.
In Surah Muhammad, it is there, Ustad, like Tud'auna ila salmi wa antumul alon.
Wa antumul alon, that's right. Yes, yes. Yeah. To peace, that's right.
Like Wallahu ma'ahum, Wallahu ma'ahum. So don't worry, I am with you. So why are you something like that? He just.
I also don't remember. Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah. So there is a verse of the Quran. That's right. Then we have Hati, Jam'a. So you bring or you provide Jam'al Asma'il Atiyati. So now we have to give the plural to the following nouns. Kisun means a bag, and the plural will be
kiss or kiss.
Akiyasun. Akiyasun on the pattern of af'alun. Af'alun, and this is munsarif, this is flexible. So it will be akiyasun, akiyasan, akiyasin, like atfalun. There are many verbs, nouns that come on this pattern. Lawhatun, cardboard. Ta marbuta. Yeah, it's easier to make. Lawhatun, excellent. Kharitatun. Okay, it's not always this. It's the Arabic language, so it's not necessary that every time when we have ta marbuta, the plural will be the same. It will be, it's basically khara'itu. Khara'itu. Yeah, and it's mamnu min as-sarf. So that's why there is no tanween. Why it's mamnu min as-sarf?
Because it is on the pattern of
mafa'ilu. 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 And then we have khara'itu. If you can remember this pattern, and we have discussed this pattern many times, that the pattern of mafa'ilu and mafa'ilu, it is mamnu min as-sarf. Mafa'ilu and mafa'ilu, they are mamnu min as-sarf. So you can see here the same pattern. Sorry? Of course, and this is a pattern, because pattern means you know that this is a derived noun, and you know that most of the derived nouns they start with mim. For example, maf'alun, Similarly, maktabun. And this is because derived noun, so that's why it starts with meme. So this is the name of the patron. It doesn't mean that every noun has to start with meme, because if you remember the rule, the standard verb that we are using in Arabic language is fa'ala. Fa'ala yaf'alu. Fa'ala yaf'alu.
The pattern of fa'ailu.
La fa'ala yaf'alu. So if you make dharf from it, it will be maf'al. Maf'al, and the plural of maf'al will be mafa'ilu. And if you make mif'al from it, ism al-ala, then mif'al will be also on the same pattern, mafa'ilu. I have told you that when we talk about the derived nouns, when we talk about the dharf as zaman wal makan, and similarly when we talk about ism al-ala, for them the plural will be always on the pattern of mafa'ilu. For example, miftahun, mafatihu. We have discussed in the previous lesson. Yes. So maktabun, makatibu, fundakun, fanadiku. So there are many verbs that come on the same pattern. Ghilafun. It has two plurals. Cover. Yeah, it has two plurals. It has ghulufun and also aghlifatun on the pattern of af'ilatun. Ghulufun wa aghlifatun. It has two plurals. Lisanun. Alsinatun. Alsinatun, excellent. Alsinatun. It's on the pattern of af'ilatun. And then we have yadun.
Aydin.
Aydin, excellent. Aydin, and as we know that this is also ismul manqus. So that's why when we use al with that, then the ya comes back. Or whenever it is used as mansub, then the ya also comes back. So in the Quran, whenever you see that ya has fatha on that, aydiyahum, that means it is used as mansub. Or when we have al with that, then the ya comes back. Otherwise, it is always used either marfu or it is used as majroor. So aydin will be used either marfu or majroor. Ma ضد فوق. What's the opposite of fawq?
تحت.
All right, so ضده تحت, تحت, right? فوق تحت. Because here we are using it as ظرف, so that's why it should end with, it should end with فتحة. فوق وتحت. All right, so alhamdulillah, our lesson is completed. Now we go through the vocab quickly. حبر, ink. Yes, من تحتها الأنهار, yes. So حبر, ink. What will be the English of Arabic, of ink pot? Try to make ism al-ala. Mif'alatun. Okay, I give you the pattern. Try to make on the pattern of mif'alatun.
Mihbaratun.
Mihbaratun. That's right, mihbaratun. So like this you can make now, you can make further nouns and on this pattern. So qalamu hibrin, fountain pen, as we can see here. Then we have naw'un, and the plural of naw'un is anwa'un on the pattern of af'alun, as we have seen in the previous exercise. Rasasun, lead, and qalamu rasasin, it means pencil or lead pencil. So qalamu hibrin,
fountain pen or ink
Fountain pen.
yes, qalamu hibrin and qalamu rasasin. What kind of construction is this?
Mudaf.
Mudaf ilayh. Okay, excellent. Ismun, and the plural is aqsamun, section or portion, also on the pattern of af'alun. Then we have jaffun, dry, and qalamun jaffun, ballpoint pen. What kind of construction is this?
Mawsuf sifa.
Mawsuf sifa, excellent. Yes, these small constructions, we should be used to them now. As we know that these are very commonly used even in the Quran. So we have either mawsuf sifa, or we have mudaf ilayh, or we have ishara and mishara ilayh, like hadha al-kitab. And then we have jar majroor. So these are four constructions that are very commonly used in the Quran and the Arabic as well. Then we have mushtarin, as it is ismul manqus. So ishtara, yashtari, ishtara'an, fahuwa mushtirun. So fahuwa mushtarin, sorry, yeah, so it will be fahuwa mushtarin, buyer. And when we use al with that, then the ya comes back, as we can see here. And two will be mushtarayani, and the plural will be mushtaruna. The plural will be always on the pattern of una. All right, then we have kharitatun, khara'itu, on the pattern of mafa'ilu, we've just discussed. Ghilafun, cover, and then ghulufun is the plural. Waraqun musattarun, ruled paper or the paper with lines on it. Lisanun, alsinatun. Al-alamul islamiyu, the Islamic world. Then we have mu'ayyanun, particular or specified. Mu'ayyanun is also on the pattern of ism al-maf'ul, because we have dhamma in the beginning, and then the second last root letter has, yeah, ayyana yu'ayyinu, that's right. Kisun, and then the plural is aqiyasun. Qimatun, value or price, and the plural is qiyamun. Hadiyatun, and the plural is hadaya. Maqsoodun bin nida'i, specified by calling. Maqsood, what's the pattern of maqsood?
مفعول.
مفعول. قصد يقصد, yeah, يعني أقصد ذلك, I mean that. So it means like when we say I mean that, so from that it means maqsood, يعني specified by calling. ضد, opposite, and the plural is adadadun. And then we have ashara yushiru, isharatan, 2.2. Fahuwa mushirun, as we have here. I think
one who directs.
The one who directs.
Traffic police, we call it as mushirun, Ustad. Traffic police.
For the traffic signs, yes, we use ashara and asharat. The person, I don't know if we call him mushir or not. And normally they use the word shurta for everyone, you know that. So, and then we have nada yunadi, nida'an, to call. Okay, what will be the small file? We discussed it today. You should know that.
Nadi.
Munadin.
Munadin. Munadin, and mansoob will be munadiyan, and majroor will be munadin as well. Nada yunadi nida'an. So it has two masdar or masdarain. One will be munadatan, which is not used a lot. Instead, nida'an is used a lot. As we know, jahada yujahidu, mujahadatan wa jihadan. So this is on the pattern of jihadan, nida'an. Salima yaslamu slamatan, to be safe. Sallama li fulanin, yusallimu tasliman, to give, to hand over something. Dafa yadfa'u daf'an, to pay. Hawa yahwi, hawayatan, to contain. The board contained the verse of the Quran, yes. Nafida, yanfadu, nafadan, to be exhausted, to come to an end. Inqalaba, yanqalibu, inqilaban, to overturn. Halla yuhalli tahliyatan, on the pattern of salla yusalli tasliyatan, to adorn something or someone with ornaments. Al-ismul muhalla bi-al, a noun that has attached al to this, and literally a noun which has been decorated with the ornament of al. And then we have tahliyatu, tahliyatul ismi bi-al, adding al to the noun. So tahliya, as we know, that this is the masdar of halla yuhalli tahliyatan. All right, alhamdulillah, we have completed our lesson. And now, inshallah, before we sign off, just maybe like another 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we will just have a brief look on the possession, al-idaafa. And the reason why we need to have a brief look on that is, number one, it's used a lot. And number two, we are going to discuss about it in the next lesson. So we will discuss about the basics now, and inshallah, in the next lesson, we will discuss about the advanced use of possession. So the possession is called al-idaafa. Adafa yudifu idafatan, to add something. You remember adif, we have used a lot in the adif anil kalimat al-atiya, or you have to add to something. So adafa yudifu idafatan means to add something. So in order to show possession in English, we use like of, or we use apostrophe s, or we use the possessive pronouns like his, her, and our. So like as we can see here, the house of Bilal. Similarly, we can say Bilal's house, and similarly, we can say his house. So this is what we call idaafa, or we call mudaf, mudaf ilayh. So you know the rules of idaafa or mudaf ilayh. We will discuss inshallah on the next slide. So as we can see here, it is baytu Bilalin. So here basically we get the meaning of the house of Bilal. Similarly, we have Bilal's house. So either we can use of, or we can use apostrophe s. So the Arabic will be the same, baytu Bilalin. And also we can use attached pronoun. For example, his house, it will be baytuhu, his house. And we know that whenever we use a noun with the attached pronouns, it will always be mudaf, mudaf ilayhi. Now we just have a look here. So what is mudaf and what is mudaf ilayhi? When first we look at mudaf, it is always light. Very important point. What does it mean? It is always light.
Doesn't
have al, doesn't have tanween.
Excellent. So especially here, it will not take tanween. So as of now, we focus on tanween, and inshallah in the next lesson, or when we start the next lesson, we will discuss that also for the noon for the muthanna and the noon for the plural also gets dropped. So that means it's light. So light means that it will not take tanween. It will not take dhammatain, fathatain, or kasratain. It will only take dhamma, fatha, or kasra. And also, it doesn't carry tanween. So that's number one. And number two, it doesn't carry al. And it can be marfu, mansub, and majroor, mudaf. And it is generally a common noun. It is just, or we can say it's a common noun. As we can see here, maktabul mudarrisi. So as we can see here, it is light. It doesn't have al. It doesn't have tanween. And it is marfu. How do we know it is marfu? Because of dhamma. Okay. And it's a common noun, as we can see here. We are not talking about mudaf ilayh. So maktab itself is a common noun, as we have discussed here, that generally it's a common noun. Mudaf ilayh has very few rules about it. Number one, it is always majroor, as we can see here, al-mudarrisi. So it is always majroor. And generally, it is a proper noun. It's a definite noun, generally. But sometimes it can be a common noun as well. For example, here we can see maktabu, mudarrisin. So both of them are common nouns. Qalamu hibrin, as we have discussed today. So generally it can be, normally it's like it's a proper noun, but in some conditions it can be a common noun as well. So now we can see here, hada maktabul mudarrisi. So here it is marfu. Inna maktabal mudarrisi. Here it is mansub. And ala maktabil mudarrisi. Here it is majroor. So as we have seen here, that mudaf can be marfu, and it can be mansub, and it can be majroor, depending on the amil. Like, what's the amil before it? Yes.
Right. When we read yesterday and day before, how do we say common noun? Like if it's maktabul mudarrisi, so
of course, after the association, yes, that's a very good question. I forgot to mention. After the association, it becomes a proper noun. So when it is mudaf ila al-marifa, of course, it becomes a proper noun. But when we look at mudaf itself only, for example, we just break it down where we only talk about mudaf here. So when we talk about itself only, then we will say that generally it is a common noun. But of course, now when it has association with the proper noun, it becomes a proper noun. But when it has association with the common noun, then it remains a common noun. So here now it is, of course, here it is now, it is a proper noun. It has become proper noun. Why? Because of al-mudarris, because the association with the proper noun. So whenever we associate it with the proper noun, then it becomes a proper noun.
Right. So we will say it's like in itself, it's a common noun, but it doesn't have a tanween because it's mudaf. And when it's associated with mudaf ilayh, proper mudaf, it's a proper noun.
It's a proper noun, yeah. And when it is associated to a common noun, then it remains a common noun. For example, here. So maktabu is a common noun and mudarrisin is also a common noun. So now it will be translated as a desk of a teacher. But here it will be translated as the desk of the teacher. So the meaning will definitely change. And we know that hada is mubtada and maktabul mudarrisi is khabar. So that's why it is marfu. And after inna, we know that ismu inna is always marfu. And ala maktabi, we know that after harfi jar, the noun that follows it is always majroor. Now here we have a little bit more information. So if you see here, Mudafun cannot have tanween, as we have discussed earlier. So it cannot be kitabun bilalin. It cannot have al. It cannot be al kitabu bilalin. And similarly, mudaf ilayh cannot be marfu. So it cannot be kitabu bilalun. And similarly, it cannot be mansub as well. We cannot say kitabu bilalan. The only correct form is kitabu bilalin, as we have discussed, that mudaf ilayh is always majroor. It is always majroor, whereas mudaf is light. It can be marfu, mansub, or majroor, but it does not have tanween and it does not have al. As of now, we know this, but in the next lesson, we will see that it does not carry noon as well when we talk about the dual and when we talk about the plural as well. Now, mudaf ilayh, if you remember yesterday, we have seen that hada, like ismul ishara can also be mudaf ilayh. Similarly, man, which is ismul istifham, it can also be mudaf ilayh. Alladhi, which is ismul mawsul, that can be also mudaf ilayh. Sirat alladhina. So if you remember when we analyzed Surah Al-Fatiha, we said that Sirata is mudaf and Alladina is mudaf ilayh. So here we can see now, because now we are learning like advanced, we are getting advanced. So we can see here that when we say Kitabu man, so here Kitab will be mudaf and man will be mudaf ilayh. Similarly, Qalamu man and Ibnu man, so whose son, whose pen. So we will, when we use it as mudaf ilayh, of course, man is mamnu, it's mabni al sukun. So that's why the ending of man will not change. So kitabu hada, the book of this person. So kitabu hada, also the ending of hada will not change. Kitabu alladhi kharaja min al-fasli, the book of the one who left from the classroom. So whether we have hada after that, or we have alladhi after that, or we have man after that, or we have ma after that, of course, they are mabni, so the ending will not change. However, they can be used as mudaf ilayh. And we also know that there can be more than one mudaf and mudaf ilayh. So what will we do if we have more than one? It's very simple. The first one, as we know that, yes?
I think Ustad, the middle one will be mudaf and mudaf ilayh.
Yeah, so when we say masjidu rasuli, so basically Rasul here is, we can see here it is mudaf ilayh, and this is mudaf and mudaf ilayh. However, after that we have another noun. So Rasul here, for masjid it is mudaf ilayh. However, for the noun that comes after that, for that it becomes mudaf. So now it has two forms. It is mudaf ilayh, and at the same time it is mudaf as well. Whereas the last noun, or the noun that comes to the end or in the end, will always be mudaf ilayh. Masjidu Rasulillah. Similarly, we have Maliki Yawmiddini. So when we say Malik, Malik is mudaf, Yawm is mudaf ilayh, and at the same time it is mudaf, and ad-dini is itself mudaf ilayh. So we can have more than one, or we can have more than two nouns or three nouns. So when we put three nouns together, then the construction will be like this, as we can see here. And now we have a few examples from the Quran. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ. So as we can see here, Nasrullah is mudaf ilayh. Nasru, as we can see here, it doesn't have al, doesn't have tanween, and Ismul Jalalah is majroor. So when comes the help of Allah? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ. Similarly, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. So we can see here, where is mudaf?
Rabbi.
Rabb, okay. And An-Nas is mudaf ilayh. And why Rabbi is majroor?
Because of B, al-fajr.
Excellent, yeah. So here, as we have discussed today, that mudaf can be marfu, it can be mansub, and it can be majroor. However, mudaf ilayh will always be majroor. So it's confirmed now. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. All right. So where is mudaf ilayh?
Nur is mudaf.
Okay.
Samawati is mudaf
ilayh. Wawul atf and followed by
also?
Again.
Okay. What kind of sentence is this? Nominal sentence. Okay, Ismiya. Where is mubtada and where is khabar?
Allahu is mubtada.
Excellent.
And Nur is samawati.
Perfect. So if you remember the rule, as we have discussed, that wherever we can put is. So the noun that comes before is will be mubtada, and the noun that comes after is will be khabar. So now, inshallah, I'm sure you are able to figure out. Similarly, we have هذه ناقة الله. This is the she camel of Allah. So هذه we can see is mubtada, and ناقة الله is khabar. Also, it is mudaf, and it is mudaf ilayh. Then we have Muhammadun Rasulullah. Again, we can see here that Muhammadun is mudaf, and Rasulullah. Sorry, this is mubtada, and Rasulullah is mudaf ilayh, and it is khabar. So what we need to remember is that mudaf ilayh, the complete construction will be either mubtada or khabar. We cannot break it. We cannot say that mudaf is mubtada and mudaf ilayh is khabar. La. The whole construction will be used either in the place of mubtada or it will be used in the place of khabar. Lahum darus salami. For them is the home of safety. What kind of sentence is this?
Mubtada muakhar.
Excellent.
So the dar has gone.
MashaAllah, you remember now that darus salami is basically, it's a proper noun because as-salam is mudaf ilayh is proper. So dar also becomes proper. So it's mubtada muakhar, and lahum is khabar muqaddam. No, it's the opposite. So it's mubtada muakhar and khabar muqaddam. That's right. So lahum jar majroor. So we know jar majroor cannot be mubtada. It will always be a khabar. Fasbir inna wa'dallahi haqqun. Okay. So what kind of sentence is this?
This one is failure.
Verbal sentence. Excellent. Al-jumlatul fi'liya. Because it starts with the verb fasbir, inna indeed. So after that, wa'da is mudaf, and ismul jalala is mudaf ilayh, and haqqun
is khabar.
Excellent. So fasbir is basically verbal sentence. So it will be fail plus fa'il, and this one, all of this will be maf'ul bihi. That's number one. So that's how you will analyze the sentences. Now, mashallah, we are getting like, now you're able to analyze the sentences. So fasbir is fi'l al-amr, as we know. So we know that it has fail plus fa'il, and inna wa'dallahi haqqun is maf'ul bihi. This is number one.
Fa is the
fa
is for command. Sometimes it will be used, and isbir is the commanding verb, no star.
Yeah, but here fa is not used for command. Here it is used as linking. Yeah, it's atf. Yeah, it's used for atf. Yes. Therefore, and then after that, inna, from inna up to haqqun, you can further break it that wa'dallahi is ismu inna and haqqun is khabaru inna. And the complete sentence is verbal sentence. And when you break it into two parts, then we can say that fasbir is fail plus fa'il, and inna wa'dallahi haqqun is maf'ul bihi. And if you start from inna, then we will say that wa'dallahi is ismu inna and haqqun is khabaru inna. So this is a brief, it's not brief, basically we started, I remember that we started we started discussing about mudaf ilayh in lesson number 8 of book number 1. So we started this from book number 1 of lesson number 8. So mashallah, you should be now, you should be perfect about it, and you should know everything about it. And inshallah, in the next lesson, we will discuss when it is used mudaf, when it is used as mudaf, then the noon gets dropped. So this part is clear now, and then inshallah the next part we will discuss in the next lesson. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khair.
Wa iyyakum.